Hello, what's up? This is 9 to 5 with Wangare. I'm your host, Wangare, where I talk about all things in the workplace. So this is the spot where we have really great content around the 9 to 5. It's creative, it's honest, it's authentic. So yeah, just make sure you subscribe to that button. Not subscribe to the button, just click on the subscribe button, like and share. So today I'll just get right into the topic we're discussing. Sometimes as a person and as a leader, you need some self-reflection. Sometimes you need to question and look back and reflect and think about, could you be the problem? Are you actually the one who may have issues? And that way your environment around you is showing you, or things are just not working out. So basically just the question around self-reflection and being aware of it and just calling yourself out and be like, yep, I could be a problem and I need to figure out what to do. And this topic came about from my baby sister who will be speaking on this. And she was like, hey, you should talk about the other side of the story. Like, how does actually someone attitude become this way? How does it change? So yeah, I just want to welcome my baby sister. I think you guys have met all my family. Okay, not quite yet, but most of them. This is my baby sister. Her name's Anne Marie, or we call her Babo, or Auntie Babo, as the kids call her. And she's a doctor. She loves studying. She's always the one who loved studying when we were young, and we're usually the closest together. So she got A's and I got C's and D's. She became the doctor. But yeah, she's a perfectionist as well. So she loves things being perfect. I just want to introduce her, or let her introduce herself to the listeners and the audience.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Anne Marie. And as Wangari said, I'm her baby sister. And I'm really happy to be here today. I've been watching Wangari in this space, and I couldn't be more proud, because I feel like we need a space to talk about work and everything that comes, with work, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as she puts it. And I'm really proud of her, and I'm so happy to be here today. It's my first time, and I'm happy about the topic today. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. So we'll just get right into the conversation. I think at some point in your career, or when you are going through just your medical journey, it's a long journey. You've been in school for 9 years, 10 years?
Yeah.
I don't know, I can't count. Mm-hmm. So I think there was a point you realized, hey, maybe I need to change as a person. Can we just talk about where it started for you, and what do you feel happened that made you act different or be perceived as someone you're not?
Mm-hmm. So in the medical field, there's a lot of emphasis on hierarchy and cadre. And
cadre?
Yes, there's a lot of emphasis on that.
What's cadre?
It's just that if this person is more senior than you, if they ask you to jump, you just ask how high.
Okay.
And ever since we were in medical school, which I joined, I think it was 2008, if I'm not wrong. Mm-hmm. It was just the culture.
Yeah.
You listen to your seniors, you don't question, whatever they say goes. And that's just what I thought was normal at the time. I didn't think it was normal to question back. I didn't think it was normal to, have an opinion of my own, until I was much older into my career when I think when I knew more, I was like, okay, but why do we do this like this and not like this? And I think that's where I started to maybe shift and change a little bit. So I think for me, the biggest change has been mainly in the last 2 years. I went and did my master's in anesthesiology, which is what I am. I'm a magician. I put people, I put people to sleep for surgery and then I wake them up. So I call it magic, but that's anesthesiology. And so when I joined my master's program, I was actually the sweetest. I was the sweetest girl. I was that.
Yeah, you're my baby sister. You're sweet.
I was, yeah. So I was that employee who would get everybody's birthday and then get a small harambe and throw a small party, you know, when it was their birthday. Like I was literally that girl.
Yeah.
And for the first 2 years when I was doing my master's, it was really nice. I felt that we were a family.
Yeah.
Because even when I was going through my own grief with my dad, they barely knew me, and they came through, and they traveled all the way for the funeral, and they were really supportive. So it was nice for the first 1.5 and 2 years. And then after 2 years, what happened is that the management changed.
Yeah.
So we had a change in management. And on top of that, we got some new, maybe let me call them bosses. We got some new bosses coming in. And it was a bit of a culture shock at the time, because we were used to a very somewhat friendly management before.
Yeah.
And the new management was very military-like. They were just about results, right? This is where you are, and these are the results you need to get to, and it doesn't matter how you get there, but this is, I don't care what's going on in your life, but this is where you need to be. And it was very different. So with that came a lot of conflict at work, and that, I think that's where I started to notice a shift. And mark you, I'm not blaming anybody. There's some people who went through the same thing and didn't change. They still remain the sweetest people ever. But for me, I think I didn't have the awareness and the insight and the coping skills to remain myself at that time. So at that time, I had just finished my first exam. So it's a 4-year program, and you do 2 exams, one after 2 years and another after 4 years. So after those 2 years, I was on a high, because I did really well. They called me like the best junior resident, and I was really happy. So when this new person came in, I don't know, I felt that she was very cruel, for lack of a better word.
What is cruel? And also, I just wanted to use, you mentioned something there, which I don't think there's usually enough emphasis on this. Like, I truly believe, put someone in the wrong environment. Like, I know if I'm put in the wrong environment, I can get quite abrasive and aggressive. And I know, like, the best environments is where, like, I'm happy and I'm thriving. So you need that happy environment, because it matches, it's energy. It's the same energy. So I don't think it's wrong for you to think like you changed. Maybe those other people didn't change and they don't know it, but it affected you somehow. But anyway, just going to the new management. New management always sucks sometimes. I mean, sometimes, but sometimes they're good. What when you say they're cruel, what's cruelty look like in the workplace?
So cruelty was number one, the way she gave feedback. Okay. So her feedback was always given in a very demoralizing, dehumanizing, and embarrassing way. Oh, wow. More often not in front of an audience, including the patient.
Wow, that is pretty tough, and I think that's step one of giving feedback. You need to, like, it needs to be in a very personal and one-on-one space if it is actually like direct feedback. So I think that is cruel.
So that was one aspect about it. The other aspect is that she always assumed that you were doing something wrong. Like, even if you always felt on edge, very anxious, anytime that you saw that you'd have to work with her, because her first assumption would always be that you're doing something wrong or you're not doing something right. So you'd always be on your toes. And I felt that I felt very anxious a lot of the time when I was around her. And we did have a confrontation one time when we were doing a night shift together. And as you said, sometimes for me as well, when somebody meets me with aggression, I give it back. It's not the big man thing to do. You should try to be calm, which is something that I'm trying to do now. But at that time, I was very reactive. She gave me that aggression, I give it back to her.
As the Tinder swindler said, for every action, there's a reaction.
Exactly,
so,
exactly.
But anyway, it's like physics as well.
Exactly, So she came at me with this aggression, and I gave it right back to her. But at that time, I didn't realize that there was a power play. She was always going to be someone who had power over me. Because not only was I working, but I was working towards a master's. So this is the same person who would examine me. This is the same person who would pass me to move on to the next level. So there was a power play. And at that time, I wasn't thinking, I was just being reactive. So when that happened, I remember I got so angry. The next morning, it was a 24-hour call. The next morning, I wrote a very angry email to now someone more senior than her. And I said that I didn't like the way the situation was handled and everything like that. And initially, I thought I'd get a lot of support because there was a lot of background talk about her. So I thought, I mean, everybody knows this about her. So I think I'll get the support I need.
Yeah.
But funny enough, because of the power play, the response was, but what did you do to get her to react like that? And I felt so shattered. I was like, what? This is my fault?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when that happened, I was like, okay, I'm stuck at a place where I need these people to get me to the next level, but they're blaming me for this issue. And attitude is a big thing when it comes to masters. You can be kept behind for attitude. So at that time, I thought about it. I talked to so many people. I think I talked to you guys. I talked to my mom, and my mom was like, "Look, there's a power play. You just have to do what she says.
Yeah.
She has the power, and then move on." So I remember I went to her, and I'm like, "I'm sorry for the way I acted. I should have been much better. But can we just move on from here, and can we just learn to work better?" And then the response to that was that she told the boss, "You see, she's apologized, so it means she has a problem."
Yeah.
So that came with a lot of emotion for me. I was extremely frustrated. I remember I was working very long hours. I was finishing work maybe at 2 a.m. at some times. I'm back to work again at 6 a.m. the next day. It's an environment filled with so much anxiety. It was extremely difficult. And at that time, I didn't have time for my coping strategies.
Yeah.
I didn't have time to work out because I was always at work or always trying to recover from work. I also didn't have time to meditate, go to therapy. I didn't have time to see my family, you guys, because I was just so busy. So I feel like for me, when I look back, that was a breaking point. And again, I'm not blaming her. I feel like I should have been the bigger man to not turn. But I realized that she felt she was the best person to do this job. And the only way to make her happy was to become like her.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that way you say you turned into a cruel person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I did.
If you can't beat them, join them. I
Exactly.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So how it happened is that I didn't even notice it was happening. I just said, I'm going to do everything exactly like her because that's what makes her happy.
Yeah.
That's the only way we're not going to fight during our working days together. It's the only way I'm not going to have anxiety.
Yeah.
And the thing with my job is that we work as a team.
Yeah.
And there's my part to play. We have assistants, we have her, and then we have other people in the team. So I would be really hard on the assistants. I'm like, she wants this, you have to do it this way. Like I'd go an hour early and be really hard on them so that things are done in a certain way.
Okay, then these guys are like, what is up with this BITCH?
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And so it started slowly. It started like that. I'm like, I just have to make this to go. And then I think my turning point when I got insight, because I didn't have insight until after a very long time.
Yeah.
I had this junior who I was trying to teach him something. So we teach each other. It's like an apprenticeship. I'm taught by my seniors and I teach my juniors. So I was trying to teach this guy something. And I was very harsh with the way I was trying to teach him.
Okay.
In a way that was very embarrassing for him.
So are you giving him feedback in public? Like
yes.
That happened to you? Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Just the same way I didn't like how she gave me feedback was the exact same way
that you're giving other people feedback. That is mind-blowing. I've always said it could happen. And I guess for me, sometimes that's why this is 9 to 5 for Hungary is very important and purposeful to me because you do become what you surround yourself with.
Exactly.
Yeah. So so you're turning into this person that you did not like and like made you very anxious and made you very stressed and frustrated. Yeah. And how did you take that feedback on? Did they give you feedback or?
So initially that's not what happened. Yeah. So I gave him this feedback, and at the time I didn't realize how toxic it was or how mean it was.
Yeah.
So, but I could see in his face he had this expression of disgust, for lack of a better word, of the way I spoke to him.
Yeah.
And then when I noticed that in him, I started to notice it in other people that I talked to. I started to notice that the way I was communicating, my tone,
Yeah.
the way I was handing out instructions, the way I was responding,
Yeah.
was actually disgusting people, right?
Yeah.
And
probably not disgusting. I think
yeah,
it's just like probably like abrasive. It could have been a
it
better
was
form
abrasive.
of better form of communication. It's like
Exactly.
what you looked up to and what this person who you had your supervisor.
Yeah.
So you're looking up to them. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So this person actually, he escalated the issue, and someone came back to me and told me, and that's when it clicked for me. But at first, like any human, I denied it. I was like, no, I'm just assertive. I'm just a go-getter. I'm just strong-willed.
Yeah.
But I mean that which I am. Those are part of my personality traits. But
you can still be all these things and be kind.
Exactly. And that's something I've learned over time.
Okay.
You can.
Yeah.
But I fast fought it. I'm like, no, he's the one with the problem. He has an attitude.
Yeah.
He doesn't listen when I try to teach him, which some of it was true. But again, I was also meeting him with aggression.
Yeah.
So for me, that's when it clicked. That's when it clicked that I've become exactly what I loathe so much, and that I needed to make a change.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, like, kudos for you. And it's always like a brave step to come out and say, this is who I am. These are kind of sometimes the demons that are in me. And just kudos for you. So when you made that brave step, what are the steps you took to just change and like bring kindness and empathy and just love into who you are?
I think it's an ongoing journey. Let me first say that I'm not completely there.
Yeah.
But the first thing was acceptance and awareness.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're always in denial that you're that person who's making other people have a difficult life at work, then you can't make the changes that you need to. So I got awareness, and I think that's why it's very important for people to give feedback.
Yeah.
Even your juniors should give feedback.
Yeah.
I don't think it's good to just talk behind their back, or that person is always like that, just get over it. Give the person feedback. Maybe they have no insight.
Yeah.
Right?
Some people are just are not self-aware. Yeah.
So maybe they have no insight. Maybe they're not even doing it because there are people who are cruel intentionally, but maybe they have no insight. So give the person feedback. And acceptance for me took a long time, but then it happened. And then I started to just get a lot of materials to help me to be a better communicator. I know I went to therapy. I tried to work through what I went through with this other person and how I projected it onto other people.
Yeah.
And I got materials from her. I also watched a lot of YouTube videos. Everyone learned something from YouTube on how to be a better communicator. And then I also just noticed my triggers. I think for me, one of my biggest triggers was long working hours.
And that's a trigger for anybody. We need 8 hours of sleep. When you tell me you're doing a 24-hour shift, I'm like, what do you mean? Like, the only time I can work is for 8 hours. After that, I need to do something else. So,
Yeah, I mean, the long hours just comes with the job. I mean, it's not natural for the human body. It's not. But I realized that I'm not going to confront anyone during a 24-hour shift because I know my mind isn't clear and I'll most likely get into a fight. So even if I feel some type of way about some type of conflict during that, I tell myself, okay, let's deal with this when we're rested, right? Before I just give back what was given to me. So that was my number one thing. To notice what my triggers are. Another trigger for me was it was always easy to be nice to nice people, right? The issue for me was when someone comes with me with aggression, it was...
You try and match it.
I match it. And I needed to learn that you don't have to match energy.
No,
you don't.
Just like, not for me, look for other energy,
You don't have to match the energy. I mean, I'm not completely healed. I mean, there's sometimes I still try and match that energy, but another thing is don't match energy.
Bad energy especially. I think good vibes, always try and match them.
And I think the third thing for me also was just to keep telling myself, how would I want this communication to be given to me?
To me,
Right?
And that's empathy.
Yeah.
Yeah, just being in that
Yeah.
person's shoes. Yeah.
Exactly. So with those things, I slowly started to build up being a better person. But the problem with that, unfortunately, in the workplace is people have already labeled you as the mean girl. And when you start to change, you're like, she's different.
It's like, can I even trust?
Can I trust her? Or is there something behind? Is she trying to gain something? Like that was the first reaction to me trying to change.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, so why am I even doing it? But I realized I'm not doing it because of changing people's opinions, but I was doing it just to be an overall better person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so just keep trying. I mean, I'm not yet there. I mean, I fought with someone just yesterday. But I'm just trying every day to just try to be a little bit better. And I think it's important to hear this other side of the story, because we have all these stories of like the Ellen DeGeneres show, what
Miss
happened,
Mandy.
what happened in Capital FM. Like, oh, the person looks like the sweetest person, but on the other side, their workmates are like, no, she's not. So I think we need to hear this story. We need to hear that they can be healing from this side in order to get to the other side.
Yeah, to get to the brighter side. But yeah, thank you for sharing your journey. Is there anything else like, just in terms of your career, your profession that you want to share? Would you tell people to be doctors? What's your advice around there?
I love being a doctor.
Yeah.
And more so, I love being an anesthesiologist.
Yeah.
I truly feel like I didn't know that's what I was gonna be, but once I was there, I'm like, yeah, God, this is for me.
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't discourage somebody to come into medicine, but I think you really have to have a good support system.
Yes.
You have to be really strong mentally, and you have to really want it, because it's not easy.
Yeah.
And even when you get to your master's, your PhD, whatever, it's never going to be easy.
Yeah.
Because I hear a lot of people, like my friends who are not medics, like when they're talking about work, they're like, oh, I didn't give in that report, but it's not life and death. But I'm like, for us,
actually life and death.
It is life and death. So,
yeah.
So it's just, I wouldn't discourage anyone, but I'd want people to know what they're getting themselves into, because it's not for the faint at heart. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess we're never told these things when we're picking a career. I know for sure I never wanted to be a doctor. I can't. My spelling is bad. Never liked biology. Do you think you'd go back 20 years from now? Would you still be a doctor? Would you choose another career?
On most days, I'm happy with the decision. I mean, there's those 1 or 2 days when your counterparts who are not doctors are doing all these amazing things and sleeping at night.
Yeah.
But on most days, I'm happy with the decision, and I do it again.
You do it again. Okay, that's good to know. And hopefully one day you'll get to sleep in for 8 hours and just enjoying. I think you've given your parting shots, but any last words you want to say from the other side?
For me, I think the most important thing is that change is the only constant in life.
Yeah.
Once you make mistakes, unfortunately in life, people are always going to put you in that box.
Yeah.
But always remember that when you're changing, or when you're trying to be a better person, you're not doing it for other people's opinion. You're doing it for yourself. Yeah. You're doing it for your karma. You're doing it for your future. Yeah. So just change. You can change. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how many mistakes you've made. Change is possible, and it's something that you have to. You don't just wake up one day and you're completely changed. Yeah. It's something you have to keep working at. So
constantly.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So that was my baby sister Babo, but she likes to be known as Dr. Anne Marie. She's an anesthesiologist, and we're all super proud of her to have a doctor in the family. You call her for every symptom that you have, you call her. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. Please make sure you subscribe, share, leave a comment. And let's just remember, I know it's tough, but just be kind to that leader who you don't think is communicating well or is being aggressive. You don't know. People are going through stuff, so always just be kind and try and find ways to give good feedback. Yeah, and that was it for today. And ciao. See you next time.
Bye.